Now to this, Democratic lawmakers and groups of survivors of convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein right now blasting the Trump administration over their partial release of additional Epstein files. Of course, we know this. It comes after the DOJ released tens of thousands of pages that include photos and videos and court records, all related to Jeffrey Epstein. But millions of pages are still yet to be released to the public. Some of those files include mentions of prominent figures like the President of the United States. He's never been charged with any wrongdoing. This is what he had to say when asked about the latest release of documents over the weekend. Listen.
Sir, what did you think of the latest release of Epstein files, and do you think your critics will be satisfied with?
Well, they should be, because it looked like this guy Wolf, who's a writer, was conspiring with Epstein to do harm to me. And I didn't see it myself, but I was told by some very important people that not only does it absolve me, it's the opposite of what people were hoping, you know, the radical left, that Wolf was a third-rate writer, was conspiring with Jeffrey Epstein to hurt me, politically or otherwise, and that came through loud and clear. So we'll probably sue Wolf on that.
So let's go live to Washington and CBS News Justice correspondent Scott MacFarlane. Scott, we know CBS pouring through these documents. What are you finding that's new?
It's an ongoing process. Getting through 3 million pages is no small task, and you can't do it in a concentrated, finite period of time. Let me just update what the president said a few moments ago, issuing another one of those stem winder of a social media posts. It goes on a ways, but the first line is worth emphasizing. It reiterates what he said in that press gaggle last night, that he was not friendly with Jeffrey Epstein, and that he's accusing others of falsely accusing him, and then he's threatening potential litigation against others who've connected him to Epstein. This all echoes what he said to the press last night. But I think this is somewhat beside the point of what we're talking about here today, Reed, which is that there are any number of people, prominent people, powerful people, who had communications, emails to Jeffrey Epstein in the years after Epstein pleaded guilty to an offense in 2008, including people in the president's circle, powerful people in media, in news, in politics. And that is a problematic thing because Jeffrey Epstein had already acknowledged misconduct, yet he was still in this powerful circle years later.
I also want to ask you about this. The Deputy Attorney General, Todd Blanche, he's making these headlines that you're well aware of, that there would be no new charges based on the findings. Can that be something that they can come to that quickly in a conclusion?
I've spoken to a number of Epstein survivors over the past 72 hours, including a few moments ago with Danielle Bensky, who's been an activist seeking transparency. She says they cannot make that conclusion based on what's been released so far because so much has been held back. We're talking about 3 million pages or so not released. Thousands and thousands of full redactions, some erroneous redactions, some things that were disclosed that shouldn't have been disclosed. She's making the argument that there was so much in this Epstein network, you can't read into these files anything that precludes other prosecutions. Todd Blanche made a different argument and said the review is over. But Reed, the statement that the review is over from the Department of Justice has only poured gasoline onto a fire. It has not extinguished it. There are members of Congress, survivors, activist groups that say more needs to be released under the law, much less under good transparency.
Is there any more talk today that there could be somebody who could oversee this? We know that survivors have said, look, independent set of eyes wouldn't hurt.
There have been arguments consistently, accelerating over the last few months, for a third party to take a look at things and make sure the Department of Justice followed the law as it was supposed to. Maybe an inspector general, an auditor, an outside private group, somebody else to lay eyes on this thing to make sure the Department of Justice has properly followed a law that they were 40 days late in adhering to. 3 million pages released, 6 million pages total. That means only 50% of what was in the full files has been made public. That is satisfying no one here in Washington.
Scott MacFarlane combing through it all. Thank you so much. Good to talk to you.